Welcome to a new edition of the Christie Taylor Show. I'm your host, Christie Taylor. And yes, you are inside Taylor Tilton Hour. And I just want to take a moment to welcome our new market here in the Comcast Southeast. And we're talking about Little Rock, Arkansas. Super excited to have you a part of the Taylor Tilton Hour. Now, on today, we want to take a moment to talk about women's health. And I have a very special guest who I definitely want to get to know. And she is Fedoria Rugless, the Center for Transforming Communities Just Health Champion and Event Coordinator. Dr. Fedoria Rugless is heading the 2020 Live Memphis efforts. Now, Dr. Rugless serves in a dual role as the Director of Research at Church Health and a research assistant professor at the University of Memphis College of Health Sciences. Now, which encapsulates her passions and areas of service in the healthcare, research, and academic arenas. Now, in this role, Dr. Rugless oversees the Healthy Memphis Initiative and works as a liaison between various investigators, university faculty, and students, along with community partners and organizations, with the goal of building a strong, nationally recognized collaborative research program and network that enhances the community-based and clinical work being done locally within model organizations. That is a wonderful effort that she's leading. Now, she has been named in the Memphis Business Journal's Top 40 Under 40, a new Memphis Institute Leadership Fellow, and an American Heart Association Mid-South Woman of Impact. Fedoria is now transitioning into a new position. Oh, yeah, she stays busy as Population Health Director for AmeriGroup, a member of Anthem. Yes, that's Anthem Inc., where she will be responsible for providing direction and oversight for efforts to improve the health and well-being of the health plan's membership. Now, ultimately, she has a strong love for people, a desire to reduce healthcare disparities within the underserved populations, and she has a burden for all to obtain holistic, optimal health and wellness. Now, this is a power broker indeed in the healthcare industry. Thank you, Dr. Rugless, for being here on the Christie Taylor Show.
So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
I had to make sure I underscored who you were in the context of all your accomplishments. And I had to say, wow.
A lot.
And I would just like to know what put you on the path, Dr. Rugless, to be not only in medicine or in healthcare, but be in research more specifically.
Well, I guess I've always had a passion for healthcare. I always wanted to be in the medical field. And in that arena, I thought I was going to practice. At the time, I did go to med school for a second, planned to do surgery and things like that. But I always wanted to be in the clinical environment and help my people. The research piece, I think, came because I'm always investigating. I'm always asking 1,000,001 questions. I've always been very inquisitive. And so that was just a natural fit for me when it came to the research arena. So I also say sometimes I could have been an FBI agent because I'm always trying to investigate. I watch all the FBI shows on television and everything else because I'm always wanting to know why and dive deeper and gain a better understanding and then apply it. So it's definitely part of my passion.
Well, I love the fact too that not only are you, into the research, but you also into academia. Can you kind of give us an idea of how the partnership came with the University of Memphis? And did you have academic prior to that?
Yeah. So, in regards to my background, when I was younger, I said I would never teach because my mother and all of her siblings were teachers. And I said, I'll never do that. And then when I actually started and taught my first class, after I finished graduate school, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I love it. And I think I've been hooked ever since. So I always made sure I was teaching in some form, in some way. And it's always been part of my giving back. I felt like it was part of my goal and my mission to be able to help those who are coming along behind me, to not necessarily have to go through some of the same pitfalls and challenges, but if there was anything that I could do to help them along their path and push them towards their careers and their journeys, then I wanted to be a conduit to do that. And so this dual role that I now embrace between the University of Memphis and Church Health was developed actually over breakfast one day between the CEO of Church Health, which is Dr. Scott Morris, and the president at the time at the University of Memphis is Dr. Rudd. And they were conversing over breakfast one morning and wanted to develop something in which the University of Memphis faculty, staff, and students would be able to benefit from more community involvement and engagement. And then the church health side would also be able to benefit with having more of a research infrastructure and ultimately proving that what we do here in the community does have an impact and be able to measure that, quantify it, and then replicate it in other areas as well. And so that's how it formed. And it has since grown and developed into so much more. It's developed into what we call the Healthy Memphis Initiative. That includes various organizations, not just the University of Memphis and Church Health, but it includes other universities here within the area, such as Rhodes and Christian Brothers and University of Tennessee Health Science Center, and then other community-based organizations and nonprofits in the area who have a similar passion and kind of align when it comes to some of their mission and efforts in the area to come together and form this collaborative to make an impact in our city.
Wow. This is the first time that I've actually heard of the initiative. I understand, over the last 3 to 5 years, well, I'll just say the last decade, we were on a lot of bad health lists. And I've noticed that the medical community has definitely been addressing that in an aggressive way. And so excited to know that this is one of the many initiatives that are happening in our city and region. Now, one of the things that I'm finding intriguing about your life and your approach to healthcare is the research and the academic piece. Now, this is just me asking a naive question. Are there a lot of Black women who are in this particular space that you're in? And if not, how have you been able to navigate? Well, of course, you've been navigating very well, but how have you been able to maintain a sense of faith and support in these spaces?
That's a loaded question. So definitely I am more of a rarity in that regard when it comes to one. So my doctorate and background is in epidemiology. And so you don't find a lot of people in that specific area as well. And then two, to your point, you add Black minority and Black female on top of that, and then the pool gets even smaller. So definitely a rarity in that department, especially in this region as well. So that's been interesting to navigate those waters when it comes to that. But I've been able to, I think, use that as a stepping stone and as building blocks when it comes to navigating, especially the public health space. And thanks to COVID, now everybody knows what an epidemiologist is. And I now get questions all the time in regards to that. But I've also used it as a source to be a resource for my people. And when certain things may arise, epidemiology is a study of diseases. So it doesn't matter what the disease is or what the focus area may be, being able to be an expert in the field and to be more of a community presence and approachable, in which they know that they can come to me and ask me anything about any topic or subject area. And if I don't know the answer, then I definitely try to connect them to resources that they can find out the credible information that they need that can ultimately help in their health care and well-being.
The other thing that really stuck out to me in your bio was your 40 under 40, that you're receiving awards. So you have been really an esteemed person within your space in your early portion of your career. What has been able to be your source of support and faith in that area?
Wow. So you mentioned faith. I think that's a big one. Definitely having that support system, having a church home, and being raised with that background, coming from a Christian home and household with God being first in everything that we do. He has definitely propelled me in the arena. And I've always known that whatever he brings you to, he's adequately prepared you for. So he definitely, is the source of my strength in everything that I do. He equips me and empowers me. He blesses my brain and all of that, and places me in positions to be able to do the work that ultimately he has prepared for me to do. So I'm just blessed and honored to be able to walk in the path that he has created for me and to hopefully be a champion in that as well.
Now, I know one of the things we're going to be talking about is, Memphis, there were some major disparities throughout the years in the last decade regarding women's health. But before we get into that, I did want to kind of also dive just a little bit more into just the broader medical issues and disparities that Memphis has had collectively. Can you just kind of paint the picture so someone can understand what's happening in our region and in our city, and how you're helping to be part of that solution?
Yeah, so Memphis sometimes gets a bad rap, and for being one of the worst cities for some of everything. And I try to paint Memphis in some of the best positive light that I can. And we have a lot of healthcare disparities here that have been due to years long things when it comes to access and barriers and redlining and so many different factors. And we call these factors the social determinants of health, and they're also called social drivers of health. And a lot of our residents have been on the very low end of the spectrum when it comes to receiving a lot of things that they need when it comes to their health care, having access to that. But a lot of people don't realize how all of these other external factors play a role as well as to their health care. So when it comes to like transportation and having access to go to their providers and to get their prescriptions and jobs and workforce development, they've been on the short end of the stick in a lot of those things, and also have a lot of barriers to overcome in accessing those things. So those have been huge components when it comes to a lot of these healthcare disparities that we see within our population. And recently, what I've been focusing on is some of the work with the Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium is addressing the disparity when it comes to breast cancer incidence, mortality, and diagnoses among our African American women. So here within Shelby County, about 132 women per 100,000 are diagnosed with breast cancer, and Black women are twice as likely to die from breast cancer than our other counterparts. And so when you hear statistics like that and effects like that, it places more of a burden to try to help alleviate those disparities and improve those numbers. So since we started the Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium, we've been able to move the needle and increase the ranking of Shelby County when it comes to those numbers of incidence and mortality among our population for that specific disease.
I was excited several years ago when I first moved. I was at a local radio station, and that was the first time I heard about MBCC. And for the sake of those who may also be like I was and don't know and understand what that is, could you break down what the consortium is, how people are woven into that?
Yeah, so the consortium actually started based on that startling fact that we saw within our region and some of those numbers. And so it pulled together a lot of different organizations. The administrative home of MBCC was the Common Table Health Alliance, and it has since merged with the Center for Transforming Communities here in the city. But the consortium was made up of over 36 member organizations, and they span a wide spectrum. It could be our healthcare organizations such as Methodist Labana Healthcare, Baptist Memorial Healthcare, and then along with some of our other survivor groups and patient advocate and support groups, and then other community organizations as well. But to bring all of those organizations together under one umbrella to collectively address this major issue that was impacting our city. And so the consortium was formed. We were able to get some funding and has been running ever since. And then we've been able to do the Live Memphis Breast Cancer Summit this is the 8th consecutive year that we've been able to do the summit. And the summit has been drawing in women, over 700 women annually from across the Mid-South region to attend this summit to try to improve their health and well-being as well.
Yeah, I was really excited when, it's one thing to have that, behind the scenes work. And of course, that work does include awareness, providing more access when it came to getting those mammograms, which of course, a lot of times you have those walk fundraisers. But when the Live Memphis, and I think I always said Live Memphis, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Because I always want to say Live Memphis. No, Live Memphis.
Live from Memphis, Tennessee.
Exactly. So kind of give us a breakdown because I want to make sure everybody understands this upcoming event that's happening. Live Memphis Breast Cancer Summit that's happening May the 21st, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's at the Hickory Ridge Mall Town Center on Winchester. Kind of give them a bird's eye view of what this event has been over the last 8 years.
All right. So this event starts off with more of a educational component. So, I always say, they say a lack of knowledge, the people perish. And we want our people to have the right amount of knowledge, the correct knowledge, accurate facts that they can take away and use. And so a huge component of this is increasing the knowledge base of our population. So we bring in experts in various areas from across the region to come together and provide information, presentations. The attendees can ask them questions that they may have, and it can span topics such as their treatment, different treatment modalities, things such as clinical trials, genetic testing, genetic counseling, overall health and wellness. So we bring all these experts in the field together and provide them in one location so that the people can get their question answers, but also gain new knowledge. And this particular event that we're planning for the 21st has the theme of Mythbusters. And so there's so many myths and falsehoods out there in regards to breast cancer and treatment. And so our goal with this on the educational piece is to dispel a lot of those myths and make sure that they have actual facts and truthful information to go on that's not found from Dr. Google or Dr. Facebook or Dr. Instagram and things like that, or whatever other web searches that you've been doing or what you heard through the grapevine, but you have actual factual information that you can take away and use towards your treatment and also share with other family, friends, and loved ones that you may come in contact with as well. So that's one component. And then the other component is that we want to make this a family-friendly event as well. We want to have fun and have entertainment. So we are opening it up for the kids as well. They can bring their children. We're going to have a STEM event for them to learn some science things as well and fun activities. We're going to have live music. We're going to have huge giveaways with prizes, and we're going to make sure you have food and food trucks and things of that nature. So it's going to be a full fun-filled day with something for everybody, for the entire family. So we want everybody to definitely come out and enjoy the event.
Wow, education and fun. Come on now.
Right. It's a win-win. Doesn't get better than that.
Win. And the very fact that it will be happening in May, which of course for us, Memphis and May.
Yes.
A lot of fun activities are going to be going on throughout the city. And this is just one more that you can add to your calendar. Save the date. Yes. And make sure that you're there. Now, one thing that you spoke about is the myths. Are there any common myths that you could kind of address here today that kind of give them an idea of what they can expect at the summit?
So take, for instance, one myth is that all cancer, and that's not necessarily true. Depending on your cancer, there's different stages of breast cancer. There's different types of breast cancer, and depending on your stage determines your treatment path. So for some people that may be radiation or chemotherapy. For some people that may be a mastectomy, but it's definitely different strokes for different folks, as they say, depending on your type of cancer and your stage in which you've been diagnosed with. Another myth is that, I'm too young to get breast cancer. Wow. And we are learning and seeing now even more frequently that you do not have to be old to get breast cancer. We have people who are in their 30s or younger who have been diagnosed with breast cancer. And so that's another myth that we're dispelling. A lot of times also some things can come in your family line through genetics. And so we're educating the people when it comes to things like genetic counseling and genetic testing to see if you have a predisposition, if it runs in your family line and things of that nature. There's another myth that, a cell phone can cause breast cancer, and that's not the case.
Yeah, come on now. Don't put that phone up there. Don't put that phone
right. Don't put your phone in your bra,
Yeah.
And there's one that, a nipple piercing can cause breast cancer, And so we definitely want to make sure that we're dispelling a lot of these myths and definitely get the truth, the actual facts when it comes to these instances and occurrences of breast cancer. Another big one is that men cannot get breast cancer. And that is definitely false. There are plenty of men who have been diagnosed with breast cancer. And we're going to have some of them featured at our event, actually, to share their process and how it went with their diagnosis. And, men are some of the worst patients when it comes to, they don't want to get checked out, and they'll ignore stuff and put things off and say, oh, it'll just be fine. And then it develops into so much more that could have been dealt with earlier had we been more proactive versus reactive. So we're very
I was hoping that you would mention that, because I was shocked the first time I heard that. That they are also susceptible to breast cancer. But how do you educate, I'll say, those who are the most underserved? Because I understand that you have a passion for people and making sure that every person has that. So what are some of the techniques and things that you would advise us to do to help you do this work?
Well, for me, first, I feel like you have to meet the people where they are. You have to go to where they are. So in all of my work, I try to make sure that we're located in a central location, one that's accessible for bus lines, for people who have to take the bus. It's in the heart of a community that's heavily populated by our people that we're trying to reach. We do some pre-planning when it comes to certain target zip codes or areas that we know that these people reside in, that we really want to target. So we make sure that we do some pre-planning when it comes to that. So that's why this year's location is the Hickory Ridge Mall Town Center, because it's centrally located and in a place, for our people to access. And then the other piece of that is we want to make sure that we present information that's in a way that they can understand. So sometimes you get all this scientific language and things like that, and it's just people are clueless. It just goes over their head. But we want to make sure that we present the information in a way that everyone can understand. And then we also provide them with things that they can take away and then read again later on if they have any additional questions, and use that as a resource for them as well. So meeting them where they are, putting things in their own language that they can understand, and then making points of contact with resources so that, I consider myself, or I try to make myself as accessible as possible for our people. They're already trying to overcome enough barriers as it is. And so you want to make this as easy as possible for them. So that's also why at this event, we are providing mammograms as well. So we're going to have the mobile mammography units from both Methodist Labana Healthcare and Baptist Memorial Healthcare. Both of their mobile units will be on site, and those who need to get their mammograms will be able to do so at this event as well. So we want to bring these services to the community and to the people as well, so that they can access it.
Dr. Rugless, one of the questions, and applaud you all, because like you said, those are the important points, making this accessible and understandable to the everyday person. One question I often have when it comes to women's health, and particularly we're talking breast cancer, is how does our everyday stresses and dietary intake impact our women's health?
I'm glad you said that. A lot of people, they don't know, but they say stress kills, and it really does. And a lot of people don't realize how much stress can impact your treatment pattern and your well-being. And so a lot of times some cancer can be exacerbated by stress. Stress is increases your cortisol levels that are released into your body as well. So your body has to deal with that. And then stresses from some of the things that I mentioned earlier when it comes to your work and some of those other social determinants of health, that stress from that impacts their well-being as well. And then when it comes to treatment, being able to, a lot of times, sometimes when people get that first diagnosis, they're shocked and they don't even know how to deal with it or what should come next. And some of the stresses with just having that diagnosis is able to impact that as well. So we want to definitely try to reduce that level of stress and make everything as available for the patients as possible so that they can access it and not have additional stress induced by that. But as you mentioned, also lifestyle, diet and nutrition definitely plays a huge role in that as well. So one of our segments that we're going to have at the summit is going to deal with overall health and wellness and nutrition. So we'll be teaching the people things which they can do and to incorporate into their diet. Some in our community have never seen some vegetables like bok choy. We don't know what that is, or, things of that nature that are some alternative, healthier options, and teaching them how to prepare it and how to access it, giving them recipes that they can fix and easily to adapt to. So training them and teaching them things and new habits and lifestyle changes. It's not just about going on a diet, but it's about making a lifestyle change that you can incorporate. It becomes part of your daily normal routine that ultimately is going to propel you to improve health and wellness.
Now, Memphis is very much known for its delicacies. I'm going to put it like that.
All we do is eat. My mom calls me and she said, every time I turn around, all you guys are doing is eating in Memphis. That's all we do is eat.
and that has to do with lifestyle, because so much of our community is food based and music based. So how do you advise women who are facing these life challenges? Because you want community, you want to be able to be with family and friends. So what are some of the advice that you provide them?
So I think within this piece, we are focusing on that, which I think this is the first time why we actually made it not just for the women, but more so for everybody within the community. And so we're going to be offering some exercise demonstrations of how they can have family workouts and things that they can do at home to get you moving and not have a sedentary lifestyle. We're also going to provide, some live music and entertainment where, they can dance and engage in singing. That's part of that healthy lifestyle and balance that you need to have. That balance is key, and have the whole person health when it comes to that. So when it comes to the emotional, when it comes to the physical, when it comes to the mental, and connecting them with resources for that, I think that balance is key. And so we want to definitely promote that as part of our approach to that healthier lifestyle.
Speaking of the holistic approach to health and wellness, there is, once again, that faith and spiritual piece. Will that be also addressed at the summit?
Yes, because it's all part of that whole person health. And so that's something that you have to address. And I don't think that a lot of times we take into consideration how all these pieces actually fit into our overall health and wellness. And so if one part or one piece of the puzzle is missing, that's affecting the other piece, you can't necessarily lose weight or eat healthy if you have other mental issues going on, and you need to address those, as well. So definitely looking at all the different pieces and how those can properly be addressed will definitely be a focus.
All right. For those who are just checking us out, we are excited that Dr. Rugless is here, and you definitely want to save the date for Live Memphis Breast Cancer Summit, May the 21st, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Hickory Ridge Mall Town Center. That's on Winchester. Check out the website, bbc.live.
Yes, mbcc.live. And there
cc.live. Yes.
Yeah, we want them to go online to the website to register. Also, and if they would like to get a mammogram, they can also choose that option as well and go through a screener for that, and we can get them scheduled for a mammogram appointment as well. So, and then we're also looking for volunteers. If they want to volunteer to help out, they can also do that on the site. And if any organizations want to be a vendor at the event, we also have vendor registration open as well, and they can have a booth there at the event as well. So all of that can be done on our website at mbcc.live.
And I noticed too that for those who I want to help, but I can't come, there's also donation opportunities. Let's talk about that as well. And
yes, we do. Yes, they can donate through the website as well. They can click on the link and it'll connect them to a secure giving portal that they can donate through. And then we also have sponsorship opportunities available as well. So if a person or their organization would like to be a sponsor, we have sponsorship packets as well that they can choose to be a sponsor and donate to as well. So we're always accepting donations, and we love to have it.
Well, this has been truly a delight. And for those who love to be social, check them out on Facebook at Your MBCC. That's MBCC. That's Your MBCC on Facebook. And of course, the website as well. Well, this has been a delight. Thank you so much, Dr. Rugless. And any last words you want to say before we go today?
Well, no, thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to seeing everyone on May 21st. And feel free to reach out to me and contact me if you have any further questions. And ultimately, we just want to have a healthier city and community for all of us. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you.